Hi, welcome back to Calbeckistan, the place where anybody can learn math. I'm Mr. Calbeck, and this is Solving Crash Course Episode 3. We're going to be looking at more complicated problems today. Sometimes your teachers might refer to them as two-step equations. All right, some of you are going to be encountering problems like this, and some of you might be saying, okay, I got you, Calbeck. We're going to do the opposite, which is awesome. And you might be saying, I remember, I'm going to follow the golden rule. For those of you who haven't watched any of the previous videos, the golden rule is the most important rule in solving any problem. And it goes like this. That what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So what we're trying to learn today is, what should I do first? I'm hoping that you're looking at this problem and you're saying, oh, okay, 2x, remember that's a secret multiplication symbol there. We don't usually write it in, but it is multiplication. If you don't see a symbol between two things, it's always multiplication. So 2x means 2 times x. And a lot of you are saying, oh, that's going to be dividing, and I'm going to follow Calbeck's rule and use that division symbol. And that's great. I'm glad you thought about that as dividing. Some of you also are sitting here and saying, well, that's plus 5. I should subtract 5 because that's the opposite of addition. Both of you are right. The question is, which one do we do first? I'm going to do this both ways and we're going to see which one comes out easier. Let's start with this division problem. Okay, a couple of things here. When we divide, you can't divide by just that part because the golden rule says that what you do to one side, you must do to the other side. So if you choose to divide first, you have to remember to divide the entire side, which means if you divide by 2 here, that 2 has to divide by this part, and it has to divide by this part. And let's see what that comes up with. 2 divided by 2, remember we talked about this in the last video, that's actually just 1. So that's 1x. 5 divided by 2, you might want to write that as 2.5. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5. So now we have a new problem. It's got some ugly decimals in it. And you can treat this like a brand new problem. I've rewritten the whole thing, everything that's left, and I'm just going to redo the problem. Now I have addition, so I'm going to subtract. Again, I want to do the exact same thing to both sides. 2.5 minus 2.5, that's 0. So now I'm left with x plus 0. I don't need to write the 0, and I don't need to write the ninja 1. Just leave it as x. That equal sign comes down, straight down the page. 8.5 minus 2.5 is 6. Yay, I got the answer. However, this is kind of a complicated thing. I wonder if we did it the other way, that would be a little easier. So I want to start with the 5. The 5, the opposite would be subtracting. Subtract 5, and we want to do the same thing to both sides. So I'm going to subtract 5. 2x comes straight down because I haven't done anything to it. That stays there. 5 minus 5 is 0. I don't need to write the 0. Bring down the equal sign. 17 minus 5 is 12. Now I have a new problem. I start over again. This is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication, or the inverse, if your teacher likes that word better, is 2. So I'm left with x equals 6. Same answer. Which way did you think was easier? I think the second way is a lot easier. I started with the addition and then went through the multiplication. Now, if you are in a bind and you're sitting there like, I don't know which way to do, remember, you can do any way you want, so long as you follow the golden rule. And if you find yourself doing one direction, and you find that it's too hard, go ahead and try something else. Don't feel bad if you don't get the right answer the first time, or if you try something that is really difficult. Go back and try it again. Math is fine to do different ways. Okay? You can always start again. Think about that in a video game. How many times you played a video game and you can't beat the level one way, so you have to try a different strategy? It's the same thing with math. So remember, you can do any operation that you want in any order, just do it to both sides. And you'll find that some ways are easier than others. I would recommend saving your multiplication division toward the end of your problem. It will make your life a lot easier if you do save it for the end. You'll tend to have lots fewer fractions and decimals if you do that. All right, let's look at another case. How about this one? All right, this one has some additional challenges in it. All right, so remember, multiplication division we should probably save for the end, which means that we should probably try to deal with this 4 first. But there's not really any symbols around it. I know I'm subtracting 3x, but this 4, what do I do with it? What's the opposite? Notice here, this is a positive 4. And it's kind of separated from this, which what it really means is I have a positive 4 here. The opposite of a positive 4 would be a minus 4. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. That gives me a 0. Again, I don't need to write the 0. I'm going to bring this down. Now, this is a really common mistake. I'd like you to be careful of it. Notice here there is a minus sign. That minus sign, now some people will teach you that minus and negatives are different. Minus and negatives are the same. Okay, so that means that this is a negative 3x. Please keep that with the 3. When you bring it down, it's a minus 3x. This is a really common mistake. If you have a problem and you're not getting the right answer, if you check your answer in the back of the book, check for negatives. I have some students that actually take a highlighter and they highlight every negative on their problem so they don't miss it. Be careful of those. 16 minus 4 is 12. The reason it's so important that we've got this negative here is because when I do this part of the problem, again, this is multiplication, but what I'm multiplying by is a negative 3, so the opposite would be to divide by a negative 3. That still equals a positive 1. I'm going to divide by negative 3 over here. If you're struggling with your negatives, the rules for multiplying negatives and positives are the same as dividing negatives and positives. So a negative divided by negative is a positive. Okay, again, that cancels out because it makes a 1, which leaves me with 1x, but that's a ninja 1, so I don't need to write it. 12 divided by negative 3, positive divided by negative is a negative. So I'm left with negative 4. Now, you might see this in a variety of different ways. You might see the x off to the side like this. And you might see the x on the top like this. It actually means the same thing. Okay, so if you see the x on the side, I like to mentally put it on the top. It makes things a lot easier. As a lot of you see this and your triggers are going off and you're just panicking and you're just like, no, oh, fractions, no. But remember, what is a fraction? Fraction's a division problem. Okay, so let's think about what this means then. This is 2 times x, remember that secret multiplication symbol, divided by 5. Okay, so let's think about what you want to do first. Again, it doesn't matter what you do first as long as you do it to both sides. I don't like the fact that this is divided. So here's what I'm going to do. What's the opposite of dividing? Multiplying. So I'm going to multiply by 5. All right? Now remember what happens when I divide something by itself. 5 divided by 5, that's a big 1 again. Those cancel out completely. That's why we do the opposite, because it gets rid of those numbers. Do the same thing to the other side. So I have 2x, which means 2 times x equals 6 times 5, or 30. Now we have an easy problem. Remember, if you think about it as a fraction, it's complicated. If you think about it as a division problem, it's easy. A lot of your teachers will teach you this as a fraction. I give you permission to think about it differently. 2 times x, what's the opposite, everybody? Shout it out. Oh, I'm not sure I heard you through the internet. That's okay, though. You should have said dividing. Again, we're using this division bar. It makes a big 1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So I have 1x over here. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Again, I didn't write that one because it's a ninja one. Okay, so those are the 3 kinds of problems you're likely to see in this unit. Be careful of them, and I know you can do a great job. Tune in next time when we get even more complicated.